podcast. The Regents podcast. Welcome back to the Regents podcast.
Welcome, welcome. I'm Aja.
And I'm Ellen.
Yes, and we are two best friends who quit our jobs to pursue our passion.
Follow along with our podcast.
Yes, indeed.
I love it. I feel like we have so many people that listen on Spotify, but if you're not just checking out the visuals on YouTube, you're definitely missing some of the nonverbal cues that are happening here.
You really are. YouTube is the spot because there's way too much going on here visually in the best way possible.
I will watch podcasts on YouTube like when I'm eating dinner at night. But if I will listen to other podcasts, like while I'm working, moving throughout the day, washing dishes, folding laundry, whatever. But there are some podcasts that I'm like, this is a visual podcast for me. Like I have to watch it like a show.
To be. Yeah. And that's what we are. That's what we're basically saying.
Yeah, we're a show. We're new television.
But if you watch or listen rather via Spotify, please continue to do so.
Yes.
Whatever works.
Rate us 5 stars, please. And
comment, because you can comment on Spotify.
And share it, share with your community. Okay.
Yes.
Share with your friends, share with your family, share with the ladies in your life. Speaking of the ladies in your life, we have some incredible quotes that we want to start this episode with. I have the privilege of being the quote quoter today. We are actually inspired by something that we said in one of our more recent episodes where we were talking. We talked about a bunch of stuff in one of those episodes, but I said a little bit of a silly, funny thing, basically about flakiness in other people. And I was like, we like flakiness in our croissants, not in our people. And it really just, it really hits the ear, so maybe one day someone will be making a podcast based on a quote and they'll do it based on my quote.
Right. Yeah.
But since we're not there, we are going to be pulling in 2 quotes, okay, from 2 incredible women. I couldn't decide between them. And I think that they actually speak to like kind of a couple different elements of the idea of being a woman of your word, okay? So this week we're talking about being a woman of your word. All right, our first quote is from the Queen, Oprah Winfrey.
The
Queen. This is it. Okay, ready?
Ready.
You get in life what you have the courage to ask for, but you have to follow through. Your word is your honor. What, like honor? Like how often do we think about honor?
Honor. Not
right?
Enough. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like how courage in asking is only matched by the courage in following through. And it's like a reflection of your character. Like if you really start to think about like being a person of your word, being a woman of your word.
Yeah.
Like in the most small sense of like you're going to get a coffee with somebody and you make the plan and then it falls through. Now, I am somebody who lives for a fallen through plan, okay? I love a cancellation, right?
Okay, all right.
I love when somebody cancels. However, I think that there is like limitations to that, right? Like if you are somebody who just like consistently cancels, if you're somebody who's just like, I can almost plan for you to not come.
To cancel.
That's when it's like, what are we doing? Just say no.
What are we doing?
And that actually gets us into the Michelle Obama quote. So I feel like these really kind of work together. That's why I wanted to include both. Okay. So Michelle's quote is Miss Obama's quote. Feels weird to just say Michelle. Michelle. Yeah, Miss Michelle. Mrs. Mama Obama. Why have we not? How have we not done that up to this point?
How is that not her nickname?
Whoa.
Literally, when you said that, I was like, wow, I've never heard that before, but why?
I'm so sorry. Love you, Mamala, but Mama Obama?
Mama Obama?
The mother of our nation? Are you joking? Wait, how did that not ever become a thing?
How was that not a thing?
Whoa.
It can become a thing. It's not too
I'll
late.
only take 2% of the royalties of that concept.
That's fine.
Mama
2% is
Obama
more than enough.
would love it.
Listen.
Okay, here we go. This is
All
her
right.
quote. You don't say yes to the things you can't follow through on. Simple, succinct, and true, right?
Yes,
It's all
absolutely.
about integrity and honoring your word by knowing your limits and only committing to what you can genuinely uphold.
Mhm.
That's why the two of them, I think, made me really think about the idea of like your word really does speak to like your character and
Yes,
honor of who you are as a person and
1,000%.
understanding your own limitations. If you're the person who's constantly canceling on other people, there needs to be some self-reflection on
Right.
why am I always canceling? Like, am I tired? Like,
Mhm.
do I have anxiety? Like, maybe I need to be doing work to figure out where the need to constantly agree to things and then constantly cancel comes from,
Right. Or
you
maybe I'm
know?
not managing my time properly.
It could
Maybe
be
I need to
managing time.
revisit, yeah, my schedule. Am I not
Yeah.
organized enough to see? Am I double booking a lot? Where are the
Yeah.
pitfalls here?
Well, that's the thing I think is really interesting. Like being a person of your word, we kind of spoke a little this is what inspired the conversation was we had spoken a little bit about this previously with regard to like, okay, I know I need to commit to doing something publicly, whether it's on me doing
Mhm.
my 30 days of affirmations on TikTok. And that
Yep.
means that I am like committed and publicly committed to doing something. So I'm not going to fall through on it. Or you were
Right.
saying like you had met this person and that they're going to be able to like be really advantageous to your career. And so you have agreed to like send them something. And
Yes.
that means that you locked in, I
Locked
will
in.
deliver because I'm a woman of my word.
Yes.
So
Right,
how's
right,
that
right.
going? Have you delivered?
Yes, indeed I have. Indeed,
Exactly. And
because
I
it's
sent the email
just
I had to send. You had to do it, right?
had to do it. That's all that it is. It's just when you put that little bit of pressure for me, when I put that little bit of pressure on myself, I know I'm going to perform unless there is some crazy extenuating circumstance that doesn't allow me to, do it or whatever. But then I'm going to follow up with you and, give you an updated
Yeah.
ETA or something like that. So, yeah, and I
And that's
think
the
that's
responsible
also
thing to
yeah, and
follow
that's
up,
a
not let the
part.
deadline pass and then ask for forgiveness. That's another big thing is like if you
Mhm.
are going to miss a deadline or have to like change the deadline of a commitment to proactively address that, I think is another part of
Right.
this like knowing your word and it being a person of your word.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a very interesting idea because it can be very like small and specific and
Mhm.
also can be very like I think about this, right? Recycling.
Okay.
You're in your home alone.
Mhm.
Do you put the can of soda, beans, whatever in the recycling or do you throw it in the garbage? Now it's different in every state, every town, every country, whatever. But it's
Yeah.
this idea that like, yeah, we should be recycling. But when nobody's looking, strength of character,
Mhm.
do you recycle?
And that's integrity.
That's what I mean. It's like
Yeah, to
you
do the
say
same
something. You
thing in the
say, "I
dark.
am someone who thinks X," right?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
then you're not kind of living up to that. You're not like actually saying like doing that with your actions.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I feel as though these are things, honor, integrity, being a woman or man of your word. All of these things are unpopular
Mm.
nowadays. And it's to the point where we sometimes, I feel, we allow ourselves too much grace. And it's like we
Mm.
have to, I'm very much in tune with the idea that you should allow yourself the space to, allow room for your emotions, like your
Mhm.
feelings or whatever, but keep them in check. But I think nowadays we are too easy on ourselves and
Mm.
we don't hold ourselves to the highest standard that we possibly could.
Mm.
And it goes down to, I believe, what you see in your vicinity, how you're raised. Are you around people who are actually integrous? People that do recycle when they say they're going to recycle, whether or
Mhm.
not anyone's looking or whatever? Are they hypocritical, alternatively? So for me, I can distinctly call, people in my life who I've seen live by their word, and that creates this sense of dependability in that person, and this sense of like I can count on this person. If all I
Mm.
have is, that one call or whatever, I can ensure that this person's going to do it. If they say they can, they're going to do it.
Mhm.
Everyone loves that. No one loves, because on the opposite side of that, if you're dealing with someone who is a little bit more flaky or whatever, no one loves that. It's
Yeah.
like, she'll say yeah, but she's not gonna come through.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that
yeah.
doesn't feel good. No one wants to be that person.
Mm. Well, that's the
So,
thing I wonder, like, if the person who is the one that's always canceling or, like, changing plans or, like, committing and then dropping out, like,
mhm,
saying they'll be able to do something and then they don't follow through, I wonder if that person is even, like, conscious sometimes
yeah,
of it's like a betrayal of your word. Like, I wonder
mhm,
if they actually understand it for what it is, because in their minds, like, "Oh, I just canceled, like, I couldn't make it, like, whatever." To your
right,
point,
right,
like, too easy on yourself about it. And I'm
yeah,
not saying you should, like, crucify yourself. You can't go in the opposite direction and be
right,
like, "I'm the worst
absolutely,
person in the world." Like, I'm just curious if people who do engage in that, like, really flaky, really, like, inconsistent,
mm,
unreliable, if they
yeah,
actually see it for what it is from, like, an outsider's perspective, or if they create another narrative for themselves that gives them it's beyond grace. It's just
permission.
giving themselves permission to just, like, not be
Yeah,
someone that
it's
honors
beyond
their
grace.
word. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right,
Because
yeah,
I'm always somebody who says, like, you've got to give yourself grace. Like, you guys, like, you hear
yes,
me on this podcast. Everybody that listens, you guys definitely hear me. It's very obvious. I can be hard on myself
hmm,
in a lot of different ways. However, I do work on the idea of, like, give yourself some grace. Like, you've been able to accomplish X, Y, and Z in this day. You think you're supposed to be able to get 100 things done today, but you got
right,
25 things done today. You got 25% of what you said you were going to do today done. If you actually
hmm,
time management out every single thing you said you were going to do, you created an impossible goal, right? And so that's
right,
where
right,
I do have to give myself grace and say, like, just because you want to accomplish all these things and get all these things done doesn't mean it's actually possible. And so you have to be okay with getting as much done as you can. And that's the grace I
yes,
give myself. It's when I think it turns into, and there's a lot of different circumstances of, like, I need a day to just kind of, like, relax, or I need, like, this 4-hour chunk where I was going to do this, that, and the third. But my body physically is not
it's telling
there.
me no.
Right.
Yeah,
Then you go, "What?" And it doesn't happen often, like, to be honest, like, anymore, and I feel like I'm, like, really have made a lot of really good positive strides. I'm on the right
hmm,
medications. I'm, like, creating new tools in my life to, like, do things. But there is, like, an odd day where, okay, it's gonna be I need to just push through and be productive for these 4 hours, or, like, my body is physically, like, showing signs of exhaustion. Just go
yes.
lay down.
Just
Like,
please
just go lay down, because honestly,
help
running
us
yourself
all.
ragged doesn't do anything for anybody, especially not for
Yes.
myself. And that's where I think it's, like, the having grace with yourself, like, that's kind of like the window of grace. Now,
Yes.
if I am doing that 7 days straight, 2 weeks straight, every other day for 6 months, like, that's when it starts to become, like, personal excuses. That's also when I
Right.
start to notice, like, Ellen, like, that is, like, for me, that's depressive episode. Like, that's to
Mhm.
me, like, and I now am in such a better place where I can catch it. I can understand, like, what's happening, what my body is going through, like, literally biologically. But,
Yeah.
like, you know, I think the tricky thing is, like, when you do give your word externally to someone,
Mhm.
there is an accountability, right? Like, I'm accountable to myself. Don't lay on the couch every single day wasting time, right? But that's my accountability. The second there's an
Right.
external accountability, I mean, I'm, like, very, very, very concerned about
I'm
making
on
sure
it.
I am on it,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I want to be a woman of my word,
Right, right.
right? Like
I
I
love
don't want to be a flake.
Yeah. I don't want to be a flake. I love that you mentioned having accountability within yourself, because
Mm,
that's another key point. I feel like if you can't be accountable to yourself first,
mhm.
ain't no way you're about to be accountable to other people. Or if you are, there's some type of imbalance there. Maybe you're saying yes to the point where it's a detriment to your own goals or your self-care or whatever it
Yeah.
might be, you know. But when you have a internal capacity to know yourself and say, like, okay, this is what I'm planning to do today, likely I'll be able to do this, or whatever, and you stick to it and figure out what makes you stick to the things. Because
Mhm.
I've learned that I'm the type of person who likes to cross things out or check things as completed, whatever. So I use kind of a hybrid approach. They're actually both digital, but I like my digital planner that I can actually write in on my
Mhm.
iPad. And then I also like creating events or tasks on my phone
Yeah.
that actually show up in my calendar. So when something's complete, I check it off. But that's me knowing myself. Like, I don't like to see something. And sure, I do have things that kind of carry over,
Yeah.
into different days or whatever. But I don't like to see something sit excessively in my calendar. I keep moving it. That makes me feel bad. I'm just like, okay, girl, you've moved this 3 times. Like,
Mhm.
what's going on? Or
Mhm.
if you know yourself, also like me, where if I designate a time for a thing, it's more
Mhm.
likely to get done rather than me just saying, oh, on Monday, I'll do this. But
Yeah.
when on Monday? You know what I mean? And then the day goes away and now it's Tuesday.
Yes.
So,
That's
yeah.
that is such a thing that I remember that you said that you kind of have this like running like list of all the things and then stuff
Hmm.
that gets done, stuff that doesn't get done. I
Right.
actually working with my friend Lauren, who's that like positive change coach I've been telling you about.
Yeah.
I was like, I have so many things I have to get done before I go back home for Thanksgiving because I'm
Mm.
doing this like live
2 weeks.
hosting, literally 2 weeks. I'm doing this live
Yeah.
hosting thing. I have these videos I have to shoot for all the different brands I work with. Like, I've got personal admin stuff I need to get done, which is
Of
like one of my
course.
least favorite things ever.
Naturally. Yep.
I have to call my insurance company and I'm like, I have no desire to do it.
Right, right.
Yeah, they changed my primary care provider without me knowing.
I remember you talked about this.
And then I just got a letter in the mail
Silly.
that going to my primary care provider and having all the service that I had done. See, this is the thing, guys. I've worked really hard to get into a doctor's office and get the
To
blood work
get
and get
there.
and can
Just
get
to
on
get
top of
there.
all of and get on top of my medical stuff just to get there. I showed up for myself because it said I was going to do it and I
Mhm.
worked on it and that's what I did this year,
You did.
2024, okay?
And it's
Tell
important.
me
Amen.
why
Mhm.
I get First of all, they changed my primary care provider without telling me. I found out because I was trying to go to a dermatologist and everyone's like, "You don't have this insurance." I was like freaking out. Tell me why I
Yeah.
just got letters in the mail saying all the blood work and all the things I had done when I went to the doctor isn't covered because I wasn't going to a primary care provider that was my primary care provider. I go, "No, no, no, honey, honey, honey. I'm like, honestly, I feel like today is the day to
No
call
way.
because I am feeling like riled. I am feeling in my
Riled. Yeah.
power."
She's hot.
So
Yes.
I feel like today's the day to call and be like, take no prisoners. And I literally did
Yeah.
an affirmations yesterday that was just like, you are not going to feel intimidated because you don't know the proper like medical language. You are not going to be intimidated by this person who does this every single day and you don't know what the like terminology is and you don't know like the rules or whatever.
Right.
You're in the right. You have the medical card that says the right doctor's name on it that you took to the doctor when you went, when you were supposed to.
Right. Another reason why I know I'm not wrong.
No, I know I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And okay, so that's why,
That's
yeah,
definitely something that's going on our list for
that's
today.
on my to-do list. It's literally like that's why I looked down and I was just like, I gotta call. I have to
Yeah, yeah.
call. Uh,
It's like blaring out at you.
yeah, but then there's also
Ugh.
like fun stuff on this to-do list that I was saying, like I hurt my back, and there's fun
Mhm.
stuff like I have a gift card to get a massage. Thank you very much to my sister, and a
Mm.
facial. Thank you to my parents, and I still haven't booked it.
Oh, you're wildin'.
I know, and so
I
now I'm
would book
just
that
like
as soon as it was
as soon
received.
as it came in. And
As
but so now
soon.
I'm like, okay, do I book it now or do I book it like for when I come back?
What are we waiting for?
Yeah, you're
No.
so right. Like, what am I waiting
Book
for?
it
You
now.
know what? I just saw a really interesting TikTok. It was basically like, why am I waiting to use the nice perfume, to
Mhm.
wear the nice shirt? Why am I waiting, delaying? Why I think I don't
Yes.
deserve it? Like, it's my perfume. It's a nice perfume. Just wear the
Right.
perfume.
Why will tomorrow be better than
Why
today?
why do I feel like I don't deserve it now?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And it's not like
Mhm.
the, "Oh, I want those shoes, I'm gonna buy them now." It's not like one of those things. It's more of
Of
like a,
course.
you already have the thing. So
Yeah.
what are you waiting for? This, like, delayed gratification, or, like, when you think you finally deserve the thing? It's kinda
Yeah.
crazy when you start to think about it that way.
No, it really is. I love that. I forget when I first heard something very similar to that. It's probably been maybe a couple years ago, and it hit me in the time that I heard it, and it changed the way I kind of approached a lot of stuff, because sometimes I think there are people who are too big on instant gratification, and then
Mm.
there are people who are too big on delayed gratification.
Yeah.
And it's like you are delaying your life away, you know, waiting on all these future moments or
Yeah.
whatever. And it reminds me of this phrase that my pastor said, and it says, "Here is holy." So like where I
Mm.
am right now, all the things have brought me to like this particular instant.
Yeah.
So I might as well relish in it, and you know, go for it.
Yeah, I
So
mean, that is such an important thing of just, like, why are you, like, putting this off when it's something, like, you
mhm.
deserve? You're allowed to, like, you know, bask in the
Yeah.
glow of a massage and a facial.
Absolutely. I mean, people, do we I can't even understand that one,
I
but
know, I know.
I
Ay,
cannot
ay,
relate,
ay.
but
I have,
I'm
like
excited for you.
I have, like, a day or 2 here and there that I think might be good to schedule those things, so I have to get those in.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah.
the idea of, coming back to your word, something I
Mhm.
always think about, and I think I've probably said this before on the podcast, like, the quote that my mom always says, and I don't know where she got this from. I should probably, like, it's either her quote or it's from somewhere, but it's
Yeah.
basically like, people only do what they really want to do. So
Mhm.
when you commit to doing something, because I often feel like I personally struggle with, like, feeling guilty and doing something because I feel like I should do something for this person or do this thing. And when my mom kind of put it in, like, people only do what they really want to do, it actually kind of helped me,
Mhm.
like, bucket where
Okay.
my decision making was coming from. So, sometimes you go and you do something that you, like, don't really want to do, but I really want to make this person happy
Yeah.
who loves this thing, or is, has a booth at this event that I really don't want to go to, and it's early in the morning and I don't want to partake, like, I couldn't be bothered, but
Yeah.
I want to go and show support for this person and I want to, like, go and help out, whatever.
Yeah.
That, like, you're doing it because you want to help this person, you wanna be there for that person, not because you want to go and be at this event, whatever it is,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so I think that over time, I think my mom has, like, your parents, like, watch your friends, like, how your friends treat you, how you interact with people. I think they see, like, some friends that really show up for you and some friends that don't really show up for you, and you're like, "Yeah, but they're such a good friend," like, when you're younger, "Yeah, but they're my best friend,"
Of
like, da, da,
course.
da.
Yeah.
And then, 5, 10, 15 years down the line, you get the, like, "Yeah, I never really felt like they were, like, it," and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
funny to look back and think about it through the lens of, like, someone who gives you their word and says that they're gonna be there and they're gonna show up for you, or they're gonna, like, celebrate you or support you in whatever way, and then that person, like, those people, like, consistently
Just
don't.
don't.
And
Mhm.
you kinda look at it from the perspective of, like, okay, so you're not a person of your word because you said you were gonna do it and you didn't do it. And then
Correct.
on top of that, like, if you think about it through the lens of, like, people only do what they really wanna do, you clearly don't want
You
to
didn't care to about
care to
my
support me and help me in whatever I'm
exactly.
doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
I think a great example of that is, like, people who show up for their friends that run marathons.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you being there, yes, it's like, you cheer them on, it's supportful for them. It really doesn't, like, make them finish the race or help them finish the
No.
race physically. It might
Right.
help them in their like moment of weakness. They're tired,
Mhm.
they want to sit
Your
down, they want to walk,
encouragement
but
and
they've got,
support.
the encouragement is there, right? But like I think watching people show up for their friends in like in that capacity, like you were saying the other day you had a showcase up in Connecticut and
Yeah.
unexpectedly had like such a showing of support from
Right,
people. And it's
right.
like that is so like such a testament to people like doing what they want to do, which is want to show support for someone, want to
Right,
show
right.
love for someone. And it's like
Mhm.
it's not even like, oh, they like said they were going to come and then they came. It's like they're a person of their word being like, I want to see you succeed, right? In
Exactly. Yeah.
general,
In
right? Like I
general.
say on social media, I comment
Correct.
on your posts. Yeah, this is great. This is awesome. I'm so excited for you. Da, da, da. But then when
Yep.
the opportunity comes to show up
To show
IRL
up, I
and be
follow
there for
through.
you and follow through
Yes.
because you're saying, I want you to be successful. I want you to make it.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'm in your backyard. Here I am performing.
Yeah, right.
Come through.
Here's a perfect opportunity.
And then they
Yes.
do. I mean, like, when people
And then they
show up
do.
when they don't have to, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's,
Yeah.
like, it's, it's pretty
That's
heartwarming.
special. It is. It really, really is. Yeah. And it means so much to people. Because I literally I could have I was almost like, oh my gosh, I could cry. This
Oh,
is really sweet. That people and because if you know me, you know I was so late in posting that particular social media post anyway. So it was just like, wow, you saw it and you acted because I only posted it today.
yeah.
You did not know that I was performing other than that.
Yeah, yeah,
And it
yeah,
was just
yeah.
like, you know what? Yeah, let's go. And, it's it means something to be a person of your word. And it does something on both sides
Mhm.
because when you're showing up for someone and in general, I mean what I say. I mean I support you. So that means whenever you have something, let me know. Whenever you're selling your product or, doing your show, whatever, I'll be
Yes.
there if I can. It does something for the person that you're supporting, obviously, but it
Mhm.
also does something for you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it really does. It helps when you can count on yourself and you know yourself as a person. It's like, no,
Mm.
I know me. I know that I'm, a person of integrity and whatever. Like that
Yeah.
builds your self-esteem and your confidence and who you know yourself to be, which is
Count on
very, very
yourself.
important. Mhm.
Oh,
Count
that is a
on
word.
yourself.
Well, just like the
Yeah.
idea
And
that
I
like every
think
action adds up.
absolutely. And that's the part. I'm so happy you said it that way. Every action adds up. And in that same regard, the things that you don't do, they add up too.
Mhm.
So every time you don't follow through or whatever, and you think it's just, oh, it was just a coffee date, or oh, she'll be back to do another show. Oh, she's always selling her stuff here. Every time you don't follow through on something, it's just you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just both things are true. When you follow through, you feel good about yourself. And if you care about your own character,
Mhm.
there should be at some moment of reckoning where you're just like, you know what? I don't like that I'm not being the person that I envision or think
Yeah.
myself to be, you
Yeah.
know,
I mean, I
and to
think it
really just be in
takes
tune with that.
that self-reflection is like so crucial, and sometimes I think that that's not it's not I struggle with the fact that I have to recognize that not everybody
Mm.
cares about self-reflection or introspection. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people
Right.
just want to
Right.
like keep it moving, and it's like, you know what? That
Mm.
everybody has the right to live how they want to live. I think
Absolutely.
the idea of like being consistent, right? And like showing up for yourself in
Hmm.
your commitments because you're
Yeah.
right, like every time you show up and you are consistent, like that is like a weight on the scale of this person is a
This is who
consistent
I
person.
am.
This is who I am. This is my
Yes.
character, right?
Yeah.
This is my behavior. Olive, this is what you can expect of me. But every time
Yes.
that you don't show up or are inconsistent or, you know, I mean, even think about just like going to work out, going to the gym, eating healthy, like
Mhm.
If I'm telling myself I'm a consistent person or I am a person who cares about my health or I'm a person who cares about my body, then like
Mhm.
I need to more often than not be making good choices for myself. It doesn't mean that
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that like okay, I would like some ice cream. That's not a good choice for myself. It's something my body's craving, it's something I want. It's when you
Yeah.
go so far off tilt,
Mhm.
off the path of this like idea of I would like to be eating more consistently healthy
Yeah.
that it's like, okay, cool. Like, so you say you're a person of your word, you say you're a person of integrity and character, you say that like you know yourself enough to know and put like achievable goals in front of you,
Yeah.
but then you're falling short all the time. And it's like you really do have to like look and
Right.
examine of like, okay, how much of this is something that I am doing to myself?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
I think that that's a big thing of like life happens to you and you happen
Mm.
to life.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's like there's stuff that's completely out of your control. You cannot control certain things. But what you
Right.
can control, you should endeavor to do so with integrity, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool,
Absolutely.
you break your leg, right? You
Mhm.
can't go to the gym anymore, but that doesn't mean that like everything in your whole world needs to fall off. But it
Right.
takes like a real strength of character. And it also takes yeah, okay, fine. I fell off for a week, or okay, I was good for a week, but then I really fell off. I got sad, I got depressed about the whole broken. Like there is, and that's where I think, and we spoke about at the very beginning of this, there is grace, right? You have to
Yes.
give
That's
yourself
where grace
grace,
comes in.
right? But
Yes.
it's
Yep.
when, to your point, when you give yourself too much grace and too much permission to kind of just like, whatever, doesn't
Right.
matter. This person won't be upset that I canceled on them for a third time in a row. Well, it's like, okay, well, you said you were going to get coffee with me and we were going to discuss like this opportunity. And then you
Mhm.
canceled on me twice and I couldn't reach you by phone. So it's like, maybe I won't think of you for the next opportunity that comes across my
Absolutely.
plate.
Why
You know what
would
I
they?
mean? And it's like, don't
Yeah.
think about things in like, what's this going to get me? Don't think of,
Yeah.
oh, what's this going to get me? Think about it in terms of like, I want to be someone where when you think about me, I'm a consistent person, that's someone of
Consistent.
character, that's somebody that you
Yes.
can like rely on. You know what I mean? That
Right.
I say I'm going to do something. Again, that comes it's just so simple. I'm a person of my
Mhm.
word. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I don't want people to
Yeah.
then think twice about asking me to do something, to show up to something, to deliver something. I am a person of my word.
Mhm. Yeah. I love what you just mentioned about people. I forget how you just put it, but it reminds me of this idea of people knowing who and what they're going to get when
Mm,
they, talk to you or interact with you,
yeah.
let alone, how dependable or accountable you are. It's just like my character is consistent. I could be
Mhm.
excited or I could be upset or I could be sad. All of those things can still exist. But in terms of my character and who I am as a person, you know
Yeah.
who you're going to get. You know what I mean? And that's comforting in people, and especially when you're building relationships, whether it's like a career thing or a personal thing, a friend or a romantic partner, whatever it is. No one likes someone who's just like,
Up
it's
and
too
down, all
much.
over. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, it is too much. Um, and again, I feel like I have to stress that point. Again, you can still have all of the emotions and be and experience all of the different things within your
Yeah.
character. But it just matters. And I think another point, my father, like we keep saying this word follow through, and it
Mm.
was literally drilled into my brain. And my dad used to always say that you've got to follow through. So, and I would ever, I mean, since I was a little girl, it's just this like song in my head. I can hear him saying it. And it didn't matter what it was.
Mm.
It could be something small, it could be a huge thing, it could be applying for college, it could be, going to play jump rope with my cousin. Like
Yeah.
it didn't matter. It was just like, you've got to follow through. And that was just such a lesson in life.
Yeah.
And I think for me, because, I I value and admire my parents and who they are as people, that it was just like, oh, okay. And it was the same thing for my grandparents. You know what
Yep.
I mean? So it was just like, this is an
Yeah.
underlying like legacy that we have. We're people of our word. We're not flaky. We don't, if I tell
Mhm.
you I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Um and also not being so quick to say, yes or no or whatever, just being like, okay, let me get back to you. Cause then I had
Yeah.
to figure that out too. And I want to say that's probably something more recently that
Yeah,
I've
same.
finalized because I used to be of the like, I want to get back to them like right away. And it's like, no, I don't have, unless it's something like obviously
Yeah,
urgent. You
yeah.
know what I mean? But really just, okay, well, let me get back to you on that because I need to assess. I don't want to
Yeah.
tell you something because sometimes I would find myself getting in situations where I'll say yes, not like a knee jerk reaction, but saying
Mhm.
yes too soon. And then
Mhm.
because I am a person of my word, I want to keep my word. It's like, well,
Exactly.
the only reason why I don't want to go is just because I don't feel like it. And it's like, well, girl, you should have thought about that before.
Exactly.
And,
Oh,
so yeah.
that's so I
Wow.
wrote down 2 things that you said because 2 things really stuck out to me, and look at me trying to work on not cutting off and speaking up and
Look at
remembering the things
you.
I'm working
Okay.
on.
She's growing.
Trying. Okay,
No,
so
she is.
I'm really trying, guys. Okay, so the first thing you
Yes.
said about like your parents were modeling that behavior and your grandparents were modeling that behavior of like follow through and sticking to your commitments. So I think about like parenting, being parented,
Mhm.
how to parent, whatever, because I'm just like think we're both in a similar world where we have like kids around us, whatever. And
Yeah.
I think about back to when with my parents, like even like parents will tell you like, okay, well, you joined this like rec league or you joined this program, like, okay, you
Yeah.
joined, it's for the next 8 weeks. If you don't like it, that's fine, but you do need to stick through and follow through because you made a
Yes.
commitment, right? That
Mhm.
is such a it feels like a very universal thing that a lot of us have like experienced.
Yep.
It's very much like in media, you see it in a lot of TV shows, people talking about like, okay, well, you committed to this, so the storyline in shows, so you have to like stick with it, right? But I
Yeah.
do think that it really does touch upon like it isn't just like a footnote in a storyline, like
Mhm.
that idea of teaching your kids follow through and like honoring a commitment and like what that
Yeah.
means as for you as a person, even if your parents, even if you don't understand like or vocalize the magnitude of that behavior and modeling that behavior, it really
Mhm.
does feed into who you are as a person. And
Oh, yeah.
down the line, you respecting other people's times and other people's commitments and showing up for people and not just flaking on them and leaving people high and dry. Like, sometimes
Mm.
I think it's kind of hard to imagine that someone is just like, wouldn't show up. I agreed
Yeah.
to do this thing and then like just fell through, didn't
Just
show up,
didn't show
whatever.
up, didn't say anything,
And it's
nothing.
like, but you hear so many stories of people exexperiencing that, and you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But it exists, And so
It
you have to
does,
think, like, where did the
unfortunately.
things fall through with their parenting?
Right. Who raised you?
Who
No.
no, literally though, that's like something I
Oh,
say,
man.
like, maybe I wouldn't say that to the person's face, but like when I see some things go down, I'm just like, who raised you?
Who raised these
Like,
people? Right.
well, wolves. Like, I don't even know.
Listen,
Honestly, wolves
listen.
have more commitment to the
They would
pack,
probably have exactly. They're very loyal
Very
and
loyal pack
listen.
mentality. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what animals really do survive individualistically. Not many.
None.
Also,
Are
is
there any?
individualistically a word?
Today.
I think so.
Today it is. Because
You
I
know
knew
what?
exactly what you meant.
Thank you so much. It's part of my creativity. I really do love to have fun with words.
I mean,
When people are like,
words
"Oh, I
are
love to play,"
constantly becoming words. Ideas are constantly becoming actual words in the
I
dictionary.
literally, what's the one phrase I said that I've literally like defined? Oh, conjobbled.
Oh, yes.
But you know exactly what I mean
I
when I
know
say
exactly. Yes, context
like,
clues all point towards what is it? Hodgepodge, like a
yeah, mess,
mishmash of yeah.
confusion,
Yep.
chaos. The plan
Conjobbles.
became conjobbled because her car broke down and he wasn't where he was supposed to be to get picked up, and so now the plan's completely conjobbled.
Conjobbled.
Yeah, I love it. I love making new words. Guys, conjobbled, look for it in your local Merriam-Webster.
Yeah, soon. And a dictionary near you coming
Yeah.
soon.
Okay,
Give
guys,
us an
sorry.
update.
Tangent. You guys know I'm working on my
That's okay.
ADHD behavior. Okay, hey, you know what? That's what makes, I think that's honestly part of what makes conversation so interesting, because we do go in like a
We
lot of
go
different
in a
directions.
totally different. Yes,
That's just who we
absolutely.
are. We have tangential thinking. I mean, I think I'm a little bit
Yes.
more, what did we say? We're like, oh, scatterbrain. I'm like, galaxy brain.
Galaxy. I was like, oh yeah, scatterbrained.
Yeah, scatterbrain. I'm like, no, we've rebranded. It's
Oh
galaxy
man.
brain.
It got an upgrade. It's Galaxy.
Oh my God. Oh, I love it. Okay, wait. And then the
Oh
other thing that
wow.
you said that I am also working on. So you said about like recently getting better about like agreeing to things and kind of giving
Mm.
yourself the time to decide if you want to
Yes.
say yes or not. The idea of saying yes
Right.
too soon. I
Yes.
so relate to that. And I have always been really bad about just like, yeah, for sure. I'll agree to something. And then I like kind of
Yeah.
I put myself over a barrel and I wind up being spread way too thin because I'm like agreeing
Mm.
to things that I like haven't
What a
really thought
phrase.
through.
I
What?
put myself over a barrel and then I was spread too
I
thin.
think it's
I've
like
never heard of
I
that.
think I use
Okay.
two together. Maybe they don't need to be together, but like when you put
I
yourself
understood though. When
but
you
when
put
you put
yourself
yourself over a
over.
barrel, isn't that like when you're like floating in the ocean to like stay afloat, like hanging onto a
Oh,
barrel, like an
I
aerial?
imagined like if you okay, wow.
I don't
My
know. I have to look
imagination
that
went
one
someplace
up.
else, but wow. Okay.
Right?
But
Like over a
yes.
barrel? Is that
Hmm.
a bad phrase? Do you think that's a mean thing? Like it's a bad thing and something we should retire? I have to research it.
I don't know.
Hold on.
I've
Let me
never
look at
heard
that
it.
etymology. I like to say, when you say like etymology?
Etymology?
Yeah, like etymology like is the like where like word, like where it came from.
Oh, okay. All right.
Like it's like the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. I just
Okay.
googled it. The etymology of over
Now I need to look this stuff
oh,
up.
there it is. Origin of over a barrel. Okay, this slang expression, over a barrel, originated from the practice of reviving a drowning victim by placing them head down over a barrel and rolling them back and forth to empty their lungs.
in a helpless position at someone's mercy. Well, that's kind of what you're trying to say.
It goes
You're at someone's
synonyms.
mercy.
In a jam, in a mess, in a pickle, in an awkward
Over a
position.
barrel.
Okay, so I think
Literally
stretch
never
myself
heard
too
that.
thin is the
Hmm.
phrase I really wanted.
Yeah, but I also
Stretch
get that.
too thin. Let's see.
I think that
Origin of
one lends
stretch too
itself to its
thin.
own.
This one is, yeah, deals with like exhaustion. You've stretched yourself. It's an idiom that means to try to do too many things at once or overextend yourself. Okay, that's what I really want to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, we are
Yeah.
going with stretched too thin.
Right. Spread too thin.
Spread too thin. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that the idea of saying yes too soon and then you do wind up finding yourself like stretched too thin and being
Yeah.
and finding yourself being in a position where you're like exhausted, you're tired, you've agreed to too much, but now you risk not being a person of your word because you start backing out of stuff because you haven't factored in your own
Mm.
personal limitations. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the Michelle Obama quote like kind of really resonated with me because it was like, you don't say yes to the things you can't follow through on. And you might not know in the minute of the ask whether or not you can follow through on the ask.
Right.
And
Right.
so by saying yes immediately, you really are doing yourself a disservice and you're
A
dishonoring
disservice.
yourself by not
Mm-hmm.
saying, okay, great. Thank you so much for that ask. I'm going to go and take a look at my calendar and I will get back to you. And I will get
Yeah.
back to you. Absolutely.
I
It
will.
might be a no.
Exactly.
So
Who's to say at this
who's to
moment?
say? I've started
Right.
putting it in practice this year when I was dabbling my toe in dating
Mm-hmm.
because I really like feel like if someone like asked me on a date, I'd just be like, yeah, for sure. Like, okay. Like I didn't really think about the fact of like, I need to go into this conversation with this person with a plan of like, do I want to see them? Do I not want to see them? Maybe I want to see them.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't even know how you feel. Maybe, and this is where that came from, have a phone call
A
conversation to
phone
kind of
call.
screen this person.
Absolutely. For sure.
And then you give yourself permission to say, this was such a nice phone call. Like, I'm so glad that we got to talk.
Thank you
I
for
will
your time.
follow up with you. I will
Yeah.
follow up with you to, talk about maybe hanging out again or something along those lines, or like,
Yeah.
I will call you or I'll text you later. Okay. Like, thanks for talking that
Mhm.
way. Because both times again, I've only done this twice, but both times I had the phone call dates, both of the men were like, okay, so do you want to go out? Like immediately. They're like, okay, so like, did I pass the test? You want to go out? And I'm just like, okay, I already knew they were no's. But
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Like, I had such a nice, I had a good time talking with you.
Mhm.
I will text you this week and we can discuss a plan.
You know what? I love that. Something that whole situation right there
Yeah.
reminds me of something that I think maybe there's someone who's listening to this that feels like, okay, well, what if you can't say no?
I was just about to cut you off and be like, that's single in their mid-30s that lives in California. Maybe there's someone listening to
but
this that
yes,
wants to date Ellen.
maybe. That option is always here, guys. You know where to find us. But for some people who feel like they can't say no,
Mm.
um, it's important to give yourself that time. If you get familiar and comfortable with that type of phrasing, you know what?
Mhm.
I would love to. Let me just check on something real quick and I can definitely let you know. I'll either text you or email you, whatever. Then, because in the moment, it can be a lot. It can be a lot of pressure for some people to be like, oh, I'm sorry. Because especially if it's the person on the other end is maybe pushy
Yeah.
or, trying to convince you that you should, or I really hope you could, because it can be hard, and you may find yourself like, okay, well, now I'm backed into a corner and all I have to
Yes.
say is, and they're asking you questions. So, well, what are you doing? What, how can we make it work? Uh-uh. Let me. Now that's the problem, that's a whole
Oh,
other
100%.
issue.
That's
But
presenting itself as a red flag already.
right,
But
but it's about, I said what I said.
yeah.
But if you give yourself that time where it's like, I don't have to say no on the phone call or in
Yeah.
person. I'm going to get back to you. I'm going to text you or I'll email you to let you know.
Yeah.
Then you take yourself, still work on that, be okay and learn how to say no in the moment and just
Yeah.
be like, you know what? I'd rather not say, but unfortunately I can't. Wish you the best though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you come up with, and I went through that, like I don't, if it's something that I would like to, or I just can't because of my schedule or whatever, I had to learn how to say no in that moment. But until then, and sometimes I still use this like more often than not,
Yeah.
it's let me go back. I'll think about how I will say no in a
Mm.
politically correct way or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I'm letting the pressure of that moment go. I'm not sitting in that. I'm not allowing the pressure to put any weight on my shoulders or
Yeah.
whatever. And I step back and take time to kind of assess. And then I email or text or whatever. And it is what it is. I've done what
Yeah.
I've needed to
It's
do
going to be a
because
no.
it's going to be a no. But let me figure out how I'm going to tell you no.
Yeah, but I
or,
think but that comes around to like knowing yourself enough to know your
mhm.
limitations, and even the limitation of I struggle to say no in
Yes.
person, or
Right.
I know I overcommit and therefore
Hmm.
cannot deliver when I'm
Right.
asked for something in
It's actually
person.
impossible. Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not going to be
That's a
able to
huge
change
thing.
an entire way of operating in like overnight, but you can
Yeah.
start to put plans in place so that, okay, if I get asked on the spot for a commitment or an answer, you know what I just thought of? What if
What?
you got proposed to and you're like, oh my God, thank you so much. I will get back to you in 5 to 7 business days.
Whatever you got to do. You know what? And if you're in a public place and you don't want to embarrass said person, you just be like, oh my gosh, get up. Give me a hug.
Yeah, like,
Oh, I
just
love that you
stand
did
back up.
this.
This
This is
was
so
so sweet that you
thoughtful
thought
and
to
sweet.
yeah, that you
Oh my
thought to
goodness.
want to marry me. But
Right.
obviously, if you're being proposed to, I'm of the belief that, like, that conversation should have been, like, locked
Well,
and
you should
loaded
have
a
known.
long time ago.
Absolutely.
It's
Right.
basically like it's a when, not if. That's a
Mhm.
question that is
Yes.
when is it being asked, not
Not
if I'll
we
say
never
yes or
talked
no.
about it before. Let me
Girl,
just surprise her.
girl, when I see stuff on social media, on the internet,
Oof.
on television shows of just like, oh my God, I had no idea we've never talked about this. I
Mm.
am like, run,
Yeah.
run. Run,
unless they're
run.
like so new in their relationship and he felt so bold enough. I
No,
don't know.
absolutely not.
I
Absolutely.
can't.
I
I
honestly don't
can't.
think that there's a scenario where that works,
Some people
actually.
yes, well, I don't know. I just
Do
think
you-
about those people who like have like love at first sight or whatever, and they get married like right away. But
yeah,
I
they
think
get
they talk
married
about
really
it.
way, but I'm sure they've
They
talked about
talked
it.
about it, I
Like,
think. It just
literally,
happened super quick.
if the person proposing to you has never spoken to you about a proposal, if
Wanting
you've
to
never
marry you
spoken
or
about it to
whatever.
them and they've never spoken about it to you, and you guys haven't talked about what does a married future look
Something's
like,
up.
what do we join bank accounts, I want to work, I don't want to work, there's so many things to like
So many
iron
things.
out that
Yeah.
like once that commitment of like let's get married is in place, being able to stop that train feels really big.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can still
Absolutely.
stop the train. There's so many people, that
Yeah.
end
To
engagements.
say no. Mhm.
However, I mean, that is like, it feels like if you think it's hard to say no to like a coffee,
To a
you want
coffee date.
talk about
Whew.
reneging on an
Talk about
engagement.
spending the rest of your life with a person.
People, all right, everybody listening right now, we want to make sure you don't wind up engaged to someone accidentally.
Oh gosh, because
So
you
make
felt
sure you're
bad.
working on the saying no, okay? Make sure you're
Yeah, we
working on
gotta
run that script in your head a couple times.
run the script. Let it be a part of your it's
Truly.
top of mind at all
Truly.
times. No, seriously, practice it in the mirror. Do whatever you
No,
have to do because you
literally.
don't want to get caught slipping. You don't want to get caught off guard, and then you're just doing your knee jerk reaction. Oh yeah, absolutely, I would love to.
And then you're like,
When,
oh my God,
tomorrow?
I'm
5?
married
Okay.
and I have 3 kids. And oh my God, like, how did this happen? Yeah.
Didn't mean for this to go this way.
Whoops.
Right.
And really, it goes from a coffee to,
To
married
5 kids.
pretty
Yeah.
quickly,
It happens quick.
That's clearly why I'm like decided to
Oh,
take a hiatus
man.
from dating after 2 dates.
Right, because she didn't know
You
how
know
to say
what?
no. Right.
I implemented my, I'm okay, I'm good, whatever. Well, because I told you what happened on the second date, right? With the kiss in the parking lot.
The second date? That was not the first date?
No, the 2 dates I went on, the first with one person and the second date with the other person. So 2 first
Yes,
dates.
in the right with all the people sitting around
We're
outside
watching
of
and
the
he
coffee
tried to
shop.
kiss me.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was a hard no
Yeah, hard pass.
and easy to say no,
Yeah.
but it was a hard no.
Hard no.
Hard no, guys.
Right.
For
And
the
that's
podcast, for the listeners, if you don't know
Yes.
the story, just ask me about it on my other personal social channels. I'm not going to get into it here.
and she will share.
Yeah,
But
I'll
see,
happily do a story
that's important
time.
to know. That's important to know the hard no's, the ones that are like easy, like you're not gonna kiss me, not feeling you. But
Yeah.
then the other ones that are just like, oh, but I love this person. I just don't believe in this, or don't want to go because this is not my style, or something.
Yeah.
Those
Or
are the
like,
things it's important to work on.
when I like was force fed, I wasn't force fed, but when I had to eat the
Force-fed.
pudding, I told you about the
Oh
pudding.
yes. Oh, with Noni?
My noni, yeah.
Yeah.
She won't see this or hear this. Respect. She like
But the family will.
no, only my Aunt Grace. Aunt Grace, you know the story as well. Mom as
You know
well.
the story. Right,
Julie,
right,
if you're
right, with the
listening, you also know.
pudding.
Literally the only people who listen to my podcast know the story. That I can trust them with
Oh
this
gosh, I remember
vaulted,
that.
vault information.
Noni will not ever find
No,
out.
she'll never
unless
find
this
out.
goes viral and someone will let her know.
If someone, you know what, guys? This is between me and
Let's
all of the
make it
internet.
viral.
Okay. Let's work on being, let's commit to each other that this will never make it back to my 93 or 94-year-old grandmother. And this is the reason why she doesn't know that I hate pudding and hated eating the pudding she made me, is because I don't want to hurt her feelings. She is so old. I would love
sweet.
I would love for her to have the memory of us making the pudding and eating the pudding together and having a nice night, rather than me taking one taste of it, being like, and her just being like, oh no, we just made all this pudding and you don't like it.
Yeah.
I like that she has this positive, happy memory of us hanging out, having pizza for dinner together. I went over.
I hope she doesn't ask you to make pudding the next time you come in a couple weeks.
Well, let's hope she forgot, It's like she is 93 or 94, Again, the fact that I cannot tell you if it's 93 or 94.
First of all, it says a lot, does it not? Right?
93 or 94.
She's 93, 94. Okay.
Oh, my Lanta.
So that would be the type of person who just eats the
Oh.
pudding, right?
Oh, goodness. No, because, I know when her birthday is.
We
I
know
just
you love
struggle with,
her. We
year,
know. The
because she could
year.
also be 96. Like, honestly, there's
Girl.
a window that I'm like well,
She's
because
in
you
her
know what it
90s,
is?
her
Sh
mid-90s,
she's in her mid-90s. She's in her early
early
90s.
to mid.
Early to
Okay.
mid-90s, yeah. Just like myself. I am in my early to
Early to
mid-30s,
mid-30s. Absolutely.
you know?
Yes.
I'm in the
Mhm.
beginning half of my 35th year, so I am still in my early to mid-30s. I'm in the beginning of my 35th
You were
year.
straight up in your
Yeah,
mid-30s.
so I'm in the beginning of my 35th year, so I'm in the beginning of my mid-30s. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Do we
Oh,
like the
yeah.
branding, guys? What do we think of the PR on that?
We think it's a lot of words on this PR. We think it's not gonna fit
It's
in the
like the more
graphic,
words you
but
have to add to justify it, it's like it's mid-30s, Ellen. You're in your
it's just mid-30s.
mid-30s.
You're in your mid-30s. You are solid smack dab in the middle
Solid in the
of
middle.
30
But
and
to be
40.
honest, I'm in the beginning
You're
part
the
of
beginning of the
35.
middle.
I'm in the
But
beginning
the
of the
beginning
middle.
of the middle means middle.
Guys, what is the word? There's probably a
The
word in the
beginning of
dictionary
the
for the beginning of the middle. Someone will be like, yeah, it's called middle. The beginning
It's
of the
called
middle is the
middle. The
middle.
beginning
Once you
of
progress past middle, it's end. Once you go to the
that,
beginning, it's the beginning.
that's it. That's it, okay? That's just like
All
the
that
whole
to
like
say,
people who say like, "Oh, I'm 14 and a half." I never did that. I always thought that was like,
oh my God, no,
you're
I
just
literally,
14.
oh
It
no,
is what it is.
I am an ardent celebrator of half birthdays.
But is that because you were excited to be older when you were younger? I feel like
Yeah.
that's the only reason
I
why
mean,
people
it's
do that.
definitely
Like my
tapered
little
as I've
niece
gotten
goes like,
older.
"Oh, I'm 8.5." Like, "Oh, I'm 9.5." It's just
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
yeah, because you're ready to be a teenager. But
yeah,
when you get 35, you're like, "Oh no, it's the beginning
yeah.
of the
I've
of the
barely been
middle."
35 for like a month, I'm
Right. And
practically still
essentially we're only
34.
30.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
with the
Because the
pandemic,
pandemic.
you subtract pandemic,
That's a good
right?
4 years because things
Subtract
were
I'm still
very
30.
mhm,
I'm still 30. I think also, having
that's
gotten the
solid.
vaccination, it does freeze your cells in time. So I am still
Hmm.
31.
Still 30. That must be why we
It
look the way we
froze me in
do.
time. I mean, look at my skin. Come on, please.
30
It's
where?
that Pfizer fam. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my
I said, is that Pfizer or is
gosh.
that Botox injected all over my face? Are you
Tell
joking?
me where.
I'm like, come on, go here, over here.
Oh Lord.
Oh my
I
Lord.
can't.
Oh my Lanta.
Well,
Oh my
I
gosh.
love
Well,
that, you know.
we definitely are women of our words, okay? We
Absolutely. We said we were going to
endeavor.
start the podcast and we did it.
Yes. Yes. And you know what? It might take you a little bit to get where you're going or where you're
Mhm.
saying you're intended to go, but as long as you are like being consistent in moving in the direction of what you say you're going to do, I think that
Ah,
also counts
that's
towards
so good.
integrity and being a person of your word.
Absolutely. I love that you said that because as that you were thinking or you were saying what I was thinking because it also brought me back to, purpose and intention, which is another underlying
Yeah.
premise of this podcast. It was when I decided to take the leap and move fully into the music role where I felt more like myself. I felt more like I am living, as a woman of my word. It's like I'm telling
Yeah.
people, oh, I love music and this is what I want to do or whatever. It's like, but I'm not doing it. The longer that
Mm,
I'm not doing it and not practicing being, you know, a woman of my word per
yep.
se, it was just like, oh, so much. There was this like wave of freedom
Mm,
that overcame me when that became true. And here we are.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm 25 days away from my 1 year anniversary
Oh my
of being
gosh. We're going to
the day
celebrate
that
your
I
1 year so
left.
soon.
Wow, that's insane. How did we get here? Like you're
I
almost a year and
know.
a half.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm approaching a year.
It's
Can you
crazy.
believe? It's
It's
insane.
crazy. It is
We need
crazy.
to
And it's
do
like,
something. We need to
yeah.
celebrate like together in person about wow.
Oh,
This is
100%.
amazing. This is
Yeah, there's
amazing.
definitely, and also like not for nothing, we are coming up on um Like we're going to come up on a year of the podcast pretty quickly.
Very quickly. It'll be here
Yeah.
before you know it.
Like in the winter,
Exciting.
the end of
Late
winter,
winter, right?
not the
Yeah. Late
middle,
winter, early spring.
not the beginning,
Not,
the end of
but like the
winter,
end of the middle.
at the
Yeah.
beginning of spring, okay?
Yes. Pre-beginning
The
spring.
middle of
It was March,
the
right?
2
Yes, because we
quarters,
started
right? It's
in
the
Women's Month.
quarter and then the next quarter, it's the middle of the quarter.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
like March-ish when we started.
Oh, we'll do something super special.
Yeah,
and
we honestly
exciting and
need to
fun.
create a couple of like fun planned moments like for your year anniversary, for the year anniversary of the podcast. I think we
Yes.
also should probably do a couple of like not ask us anything because it really there's not we talk about a lot on this
We
podcast.
talk about a lot. Yeah.
But I do think that some more like
You must not
focused
be listening.
conversation of like, Hartford days or,
Oh, yeah.
just specific time periods or, asking us questions about certain things in our lives, whatever, we can kind of focus in
Yes.
on that.
Yeah, let's do that.
We can definitely do
Let's
that.
write
I'm
down.
looking forward to seeing you in person when I come home for Thanksgiving. So that'll be really fun, guys. Get excited for some
know. Me
in-person
too.
episodes. Those are really fun. We did the first one when I came back in July. That was really fun.
Yes.
And now we'll do some more of those in-person ones when I come back for Thanksgiving. I am so excited that we got to chat. I'm really glad that I incorporated the writing the notes thing. I hope that everyone found that was helpful and less jumpy.
It is helpful.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, like I find that sometimes I really was like looking for my pen and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But I've done that a couple of times and it helps because we say so much. Like sometimes the things that we say are like chock full of, it's like, oh my gosh, you said this and that
dropping
and
knowledge.
that, and I want to talk about. Listen, like truly, it's just oozing,
flowing
out of your
from
pores.
us. It's funny, like if this was like a millions of listens and downloads podcast. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, people really like they agree. But then when it's like few people listening, I'm just like, in my mind, I'm just like, God, Ellen, like get outside of yourself, okay? Like, I'm like, guys, I'm dropping knowledge.
What you want. Okay.
Yes.
And listen, everybody listening knows. And if it's 3 people, it's everybody listening.
Yeah.
Knows.
Guys, you know what? I learned that in my communications courses about the sample size of a survey because right now 100% of the podcast hosts of the Regents podcast believe that this is a viral sensation podcast. 100%.
100. 10 out of 10. Okay.
And then to say like, 97% of our audience.
Yes.
Don't ask us how much is in the sample size.
Don't ask us how many. It's just 97%.
That's my favorite. That's like one of the best things I feel like I learned in college.
Marketing tactic.
Yes, was to understand sample size.
Yes.
Crucial. Like, when it's like, like 75% of respondents said da da da. I was like, okay, well, you asked 4 people.
It doesn't matter, Ellen. 75%.
So 3 people. 3 people said yes. That's why I'm always like, what's the sample size? I'm literally, my mom knows this because I'm always screaming about it when we talk about like stuff. I'll be like, oh yeah, what was the sample size? I'm like, check the sample size.
And no one cares. The point is 75% is 3 out of 4. When it all breaks down, when we're breaking down the fraction, it's 3 out of 4.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love being able to quote the queens, Oprah and Mama Obama.
Mama Obama. Yes.
Yes. Mama Obama. Her new name, which how did no one ever use that before?
I can't believe. We have 8 years.
She's the best. Well, listen to this stat. She is the number 1 most favorite first lady during Obama's term. Her acting. She was the most beloved acting first lady during Obama's term.
Wow. She was the only. Okay. But it's all the way how you spin it. It depends how you spin it.
Exactly. So just remember, guys, that don't spin your words and don't spin your Don't spin your, integrity. Make sure that,
Right.
endeavor
Keep that
to
on
be
the
a
up and up.
person who keeps your word, who's a person of your word, and that is not only external to people around you, but it is also to yourself, to
Absolutely.
your own personal commitments.
A major key.
Major key.
Major key alert.
Oh my God, that's
So
like a
many in this episode.
throwback. That is such a
Yes,
throwback.
it
Where is
is.
that man? Khaled,
Oh,
DJ
he's
Khaled?
chilling,
Where is he?
living his best
He's in
and
Florida.
counting his mills.
Oh God.
So,
All
yeah.
right, guys. Thank you
Well,
so much for listening to the Regents podcast.
yes. Thank you. Thank you. We will see you next time.
Yes, we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, comment, share. We love
Share,
you.
follow, all those things.
Bye. The Regents podcast. The Regents podcast. It has 3 B's, just FYI. Just wrote it down.
3?
3 B's. Yeah.
Why?
It's a fun word. It's
3
CON,
B's? Now the C. Okay.
CON,
J-O.
JOB,
Uh-huh.
BABLE. Conjobled.
Oh, but you're not saying it like it has 3.
Yeah, but the reason why I put 2 B's in between the jobbled and the abbled is because I don't want anyone to mispronounce the O in the middle. Conjobled.
Wait a second.
Should I
Just
rewrite
hold
it?
on one second. Yeah,
Job old.
because if there's another B, it should be conjobable.
Conjobable. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like babble. Conjobabble.
I just put it in the chat, like conjobled.
I don't know. I
Is it
read
a
it
K
as
or a
oh
C?
no. You put conjob led. Let me write it to you. It's conjobable.
Conjob led. But that's how you would say jobble, like babble is BABBLE.
Oh, you know what? Reading it
Conjob.
now in the chat, conjobabbled. It doesn't read right.
Yeah, it's like an extra
Conjob
B.
old. But it's not like
You wouldn't pronounce that conjob led.
Conjobled. Wait, I always believed there was an A in it, but now I'm thinking there's no A. That
There's
doesn't
no
make sense.
A.
Okay, I'm gonna have to consult with the Latin so I can figure out a way to make it
Okay.
write it the way
And
I
let
want
us
it.
know.